Welcome everybody, my name is Krush AK and this is the Market Meditations Podcast. We chat with fascinating people from around the world to extract mindsets, routines, stories and habits to help you build richer lives. In today's episode, we are joined by the Thecryptodog. Now, normally people just see this cartoon avatar on Twitter that says a lot of bullish stuff, but behind the scenes, there is actually an entrepreneurial genius. This man is one of the most successful people I have come across at such a young age. There's so much to learn from him, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Today, I am joined with the Thecryptodog. Now, if you know him from Twitter, you just have an image right now in your head of a dog with sunglasses on. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kurosh. It's great to be on.
Now, you are quite hilariously a dog with sunglasses to most people, but there's a lot more to you as a person, obviously, and you as a brand. I noticed that you don't make that much of an effort to portray the non-serious side and take Twitter quite casually despite the immense investment you have put into it.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's for me, from my perspective, it feels like, well, I guess this is just kind of what I get up and do every day. So I don't know. Yeah, it's always just I kind of like naturally fell into this whole rhythm and just feels like normal life.
And does it not bother you that, say, some people don't have the full picture or the full understanding of what it is you actually do and just think of you as, the account, like a dog with sunglasses, I'd more associate with a meme than someone who's a hugely successful trader and entrepreneur.
I guess that is a good point. Well, in crypto Twitter, we have this crazy world where any character behind whatever cartoon can be anybody. I guess I never made the account to show off or have a bunch of people that thought I was cool or whatever. I just thought it would be a good way to, well, first of all, I wanted to learn more. I joined crypto Twitter in mid 2017, and this was when everything was getting mega exciting. And I'll be honest, I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I knew I was making money, everybody was, but I didn't know why. And so I saw all these people on crypto Twitter doing so well, and I thought, well, I want to join them. I want to figure out what they're all talking about, and and do the same kind of stuff. This looks like fun. It looks like they really know what they're talking about. Well, as it turns out, no one really knows what they're talking about. It was just 2017, but that started the journey. I thought, I make this account, I can start reaching out and connecting with people, and that's, in my opinion, is the best way to learn in crypto Twitter, or just in crypto, is you find friends and they teach you along the way.
How did you approach it when you said, oh, I want to do that? What were your first steps?
So you mean as far as designing, like, when you say, yeah, I guess I'm a little confused on the question. Do you mean?
I guess it's more of a macro question in the sense that obviously I know you're a hugely successful entrepreneur that a lot of our listeners may not be aware of. So I view Twitter as an entrepreneurial venture in and of itself, especially when you start taking it a little more seriously and less like a hobby.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, one of my full-time jobs, keeping up with Twitter, maintaining the account and making sure it's still going. And that's something I realized pretty early on with the account, was that as long as I put the time and effort into it, it just went up. As long as you really, really, really try and put an effort into social media where you're interacting with other people, where you're trying to provide, helpful, valuable content, and you keep that consistent day after day, the followers go up, and it works, and it propagates further and further. But I, when I first got into it, I didn't think of it that it would be like this big job. It wasn't until, as time went on, and of course Twitter algorithms rewarded me for, generating more engagement on their website. I started to figure out, okay, how this all worked. And I started to realize, if I took this seriously, if I, everyone likes to say, oh, who cares about follower count, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. It's okay. Well, it kind of does matter in some cases. It's not the most important thing to think about, and I think most people shouldn't care about it. But in this situation, I saw that it was a very valuable thing, and it was something that I had a lot of fun with. So I figured, okay, I am going to take this seriously. I'm going to make sure that I put enough time and effort into getting, X amount of engagement so that the algorithms will continue to push my account.
That was a fantastic, concise answer, and you definitely touched on some really important stuff. Now, one thing I noticed you mentioned that I personally have found to be the most simple but most important thing when it comes to approaching Twitter or any social media website: consistency and value delivery. You need to be consistent because any shot you take could miss, and you need to deliver value because why else would people follow you? And you talked about the follow account. Yeah, of course it matters. Like, we're all traders here trying to make money. That's an asset we're trying to accumulate. Attention is also an asset, arguably more valuable than money and more leverageable. So it's kind of hypocritical to virtue signal against getting followers, but then not have any dislike or presumptions when it comes to gaining followers.
It was a really interesting concept for me. I didn't really know how, the whole influencer system and all that kind of stuff worked when I, was starting to get into it. My girlfriend at the time was a big fan of, all those different beauty gurus and stuff. And so I kind of watched how influencers with millions and millions of followers interacted and grew. And a lot of it was kind of gross. Like, it's a different industry. There are different values and that kind of stuff. But, I realized, okay, this is an actual serious thing. These people are, well, they're living their lives in complete luxury just because they are influential and are sharing, fun things with their followers. And I'm like, wow, that seems privileged and kind of cool. But, of course, it takes a lot of work and effort to get into that position. And so the more I watched it, the more I saw, this attention economy. I realized, oh, okay, commerce has changed. It's not going to be like how it was, where yes, there are going to still be, paid ads going through traditional means, but the influencer model is just so infectious and taking off so crazy in so many different industries that I realized, okay, there's going to be parallels here in crypto. We're not there yet. This is still pretty early on, but I could just tell that in the, as crypto expanded and got bigger, having an influential and a loud voice would only become that much more valuable. So I decided to take it seriously. I realized that there was something extremely valuable that I was sitting on, and that if I kept investing in it and growing, it would become that much more valuable.
It never stops being amusing to me to see the mastermind behind the dog with sunglasses on Twitter. It's they're very well thought out, and I agree with most of what you've said with regards to your approach to social media and the extreme advantages of building that sort of influence. And with any asset, you can do positive stuff with it, or you can do negative stuff with it, depending on how you leverage. And one of the ways you have managed to leverage this attention very successfully has been by creating a nootropics company. Now, I'm personally a big fan of nootropics. In fact, right now I'm on caffeine, L-theanine, and ashwagandha as well.
Love it.
So yeah, would love to hear a bit about the connection, how you managed to leverage your following to kick off a nootropics company.
Sure. So this is a kind of a fun story. It's something that I'm actually really, really proud of and really excited about. If you follow me, you might be aware that I run it's a health and wellness company focused on making you better through natural ingredients, through using different supplements that can level up human performance in different ways. And so I got into this whole concept of increasing human strength and cognition and overall performance a very long time ago, when I was actually in high school, in late high school. I had really, really competitive schooling that I had to get through. My mother always said, look, we're super poor. We don't have any money. I can't help you get into college. So, if you're going to have like college debt and all this stuff, you got to figure it out on your own. You got to get a full ride. So I figured, okay, all right, I'll study my ass off. And I did. I was always looking for an edge on how I could get better grades and just do better and perform better in school, because it was my only way out. I have to get educated to be able to make some money. I started experimenting with the simplest nootropic of them all, caffeine. And like you said, L-theanine, we start adding that in there, and you start playing around with the different combinations, and you realize, oh, whoa, there are very significant ways that I can improve my overall cognition performance, without harming myself, with a net positive to my body and my life. And that, I don't know, that opened so many doors to me. I realized, if we can be better, why not? If we can push the human race further, where it's not hurting us, where it's a genuine net positive, I think we should explore that. This tangents into longevity, where people are trying to live forever and all these different things. But I just love the idea of, hey, look, humans are pretty great, but we can be better. And there's science and medicine and ways to concoct different combinations to really optimize. So um, I apologize. It's a little bit windy. I'm just kind of going back through all the memory lane. But yeah, so late high school, I was just kind of experimenting around with some nootropics. I was, I was very fortunate in that I did manage to get a full ride, and I went on to do my undergraduate degree in biology and neuroscience. And so while I was there, I continued to expand my focus on nootropics and health and wellness, and just trying to figure out, what are cool things with compounds that I can do that the mainstream isn't doing yet. And I realized, there's just a massive business potential with nootropics. They can really, really help people. They helped me. I got so much better grades and performed so much better with nootropics. I thought, okay, I've got to share these with the world. I wasn't the only person to have this idea, but it was pretty early at this time. This was almost half a decade ago. And unfortunately, I was a broke student. I didn't have business connections. I didn't know the first thing about startups. I had no idea how to raise capital, all this kind of stuff. Not that it needed a bunch of capital, but I mean, I was a broke student. I didn't even have $200 to my name. Okay, maybe I had $200. I don't know. I didn't have more than 1,000 though. So yeah, I started taking all this stuff really seriously, but I couldn't do anything with it. And it always just sat there in the back of my mind as, I really, really, really want to do this, but I have to go to school. I have to do this, that, blah, blah, blah. And, I found myself in crypto, and of course, I didn't have time with all the crypto stuff going on until it was late 2018. I said to myself, look, I've been out of school about, a full year now, and this window of time where I can really take advantage of my background in science and medicine, it's closing. I learned a lot. I have some connections there. I can do something with it, but I got to do something soon. So I called up my partner from pharmacy school, where I was doing my dual PharmD PhD the last few years, and he's about to graduate in a year, and said, look, man, this sounds like, I mean, we'd already talked about some of these different ideas before, and he was like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's make this a reality. So we started putting all the pieces together back then. We'd already bounced around the formula. The formula was something we'd already been crafting together just for internal use. And we realized, all right, well, we got the head start there. We already have all the research done there. What else can we do? How can we take this to the next level? Along the way, and this is really, really, I don't know, just watching how it all fell together, it's just so perfect. I ended up running into this guy that he's the COO at a startup studio focused on emerging industries. And he tried my product. He tried the nootropic BetterMind, and he loved it. I mean, it was amazing. He was like, look, I've got to co-found with you. This is so cool. It really helped him out. He shared it with the rest of the team, and they were really stoked. So we started talking, how can we do this? What's the best way to fit together? Because I knew they had a lot of resources that would, level up my company beyond what I could do by myself. And it wasn't that, I'm not super greedy where I want all of the equity, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to make an awesome, badass company that people loved. And so I figured, well, this is a really good way to level it up. So we were talking, and they mentioned, they started talking about crypto, because they'd done a little bit in crypto, but not too much. And they really wanted to get more focus and involvement there. And so it was just this perfect match, where at the time, I didn't have, a long-term job. I was just here in crypto, just, shit posting every day on Twitter. And so I said, look, guys, I have some experience. I all this and that. And they were super excited and said, all right, man, let's take this to the next level. And so I joined them as both a partner. I came on for equity, and then we raised a small round and brought on some other guys as well to build up the blockchain side. And at the same time, I also joined as a client, in a sense, where I gave them equity in my startup, and they started to help build that startup with me. So it was just this awesome partnership where I got invested in them, they got invested in me, and we're all just this one, not mean. We're actually really, really, for the most part, everyone on the team is really kind, awesome people. I love them. They're great. But just this really efficient early stage startup building experience where we all have different talents from all kinds of different, walks of, not walks of life, but just different things we've done and things we're good at. And we bring that all together to, create really successful outcomes for companies. Wow, I'm sorry. That was a heavy answer, and I winded all around. But
No need to apologize. It was fascinating. The only downside is it's given me so many talking points that I want to expand on. I just now need to choose which one to go for.
I'll try and block out my things a little bit more concise there.
Oh, no, no need at all. Please feel free to tell us. It's so fascinating to see the journey from beginning to start. I mean, I picked up one subtle thing you mentioned at the start, which was simply because you said you had a tough childhood with your mother saying you had to provide for yourself if you wanted to go to college, if you wanted to make it. And I've noticed a lot of people who work as hard as you do and are so hungry to build and grow had that sort of background.
For sure, it definitely played a big role. I grew up with it was not exactly, but kind of an only child, kind of single parent situation. That's probably the closest way to describe it. And so, my mom worked all the time, didn't make very much money, but she was very education focused. My family, highly valued education, and I was always told, look, yeah, my mom's saying, look, I'm going to provide you everything I can for you right now, but you are going to have to be able to, work harder and do better than everybody else to get further. That's just the only option. And in my eyes, I wasn't happy being poor. I wasn't happy, living a life of, I don't know. I just I'm not a picky. I'm not saying like I'm a picky person that I need to have everything nice and all that kind of thing. But I just I wasn't okay with being stressed about money. That was a very big factor in my childhood, where my mother was always worried about money. It was always a big stress, probably more so than it needed to be. I think we were actually probably doing a little bit better than I think she let on a lot of times, maybe. But it sure felt like we were on the brink of disaster at all times. It was really tough. So I kind of have had this voice in the back of my head all this time, like, look, you have to get financial independence, and that's the freedom. Then you'll never have to worry about this anxiety ever again. So it's been both a positive and a negative. It's driven me to work harder than most people, I think, which is awesome. And I'm seeing a lot of these benefits. Of course, I'm seeing the benefits, but at the same time, I'm not sure that the mindset's for everyone. And I have dealt with a lot of anxiety just around, even when I make money, it's still there's still a tinge of anxiety about, okay, but I don't have enough yet. I haven't gotten this big number to where I guess my worry is that what if I become disabled? What if for some reason I'm unable to continue working and generating money, and then all the people around me that I'm caring for and like that are dependent on me, then, well, I can't go any further from there. I until I make enough money that I can provide for everybody around me, even if I am incapable of earning more money. I think that's when I finally feel finished, I guess, and accomplished in that way. It's not that I'm not this guy that, like, I have to make the most money. I need to be rich. I need all these things. I'm honestly just looking for security for myself and those around me.
You touched on one of the biggest things which comes into play when you take this entrepreneurial route. I'm not sure if you know, but I've been doing a similar thing since university, just jumping from business to business. And a lot of people like to glorify the lifestyle, but ignore the perks of, a regular 9 to 5. You have that security. You don't need to think about what if this happens or this happens. You're getting your paycheck. A lot of companies offer health insurance and other stuff which takes care of you, whereas you are in that other position where you're the one now having to take care of people. Your employees, they rely on you. You are giving them security and a livelihood, and giving them opportunities to grow as well. So that sort of pressure is a whole different um, other side to the spectrum. It also makes it clear why you've tried to build a nootropics company, because it helps accelerate that performance. It's so coincided with trying to do better, trying to do more, trying to achieve as much as you can. Now, one thing I'd be very interested in finding out is how you determine your formulas and how you put together these products. I know, for example, nutritional science is in very, very early stages right now. There is a lot we don't understand about how food interacts with our body, that the safest approach tends to be a very general approach. Most people know about micronutrients and macronutrients, but they don't know that there are a whole bunch of other substances that interact with our body and digestive system. And I was wondering how the nootropics field would compare to that.
For sure, yeah, it is definitely important to be aware of, how different things can interact, and yeah, I mean, of all the things you said is so true. It matters, what macronutrients you're putting in your body, what ratio of carbs, fats, proteins, etc., and then all the micronutrients are so key too. And then when it comes to nootropics, this thing can interact poorly with that thing. This thing can do a much better job when you pair it with this guy, as just for example, caffeine, L-theanine. But as far as developing our formulas, I would say at first the BetterMind one, most of it was complete pretty early on years ago. And it was just something I personally used and shared it with my partner, and it worked really well. And this was just through trial and error. I spent a lot of time on r/nootropics, all these different forums, and I did it the less than scientific way at first. But then as I'm going through school and learning how to be a proper scientist, all these different, ways and where, pharmacists and people that work with medicine actually do these processes, learn the correct way. And then, of course, brought on my partner, Chris, that's his name. And so these days, what we do is we kind of go for an effect profile. We look at what we're trying to accomplish. So right now, our main products are Better Mind, Better Lungs, and then Better Sleep is actually releasing here. I think should be available for order in the next week. So I'm really excited about that. We look at, what we're trying to accomplish there, or if we have an ingredient that we just think is amazing that we use regularly, we really want to put in a product, we'll find a way to do that too. As long as it's something that we feel is freaking amazing. But we look at potential ingredients, we list them all out in a big spreadsheet, and this can be, 40 to 50 ingredients with different ways that can possibly be helpful in the product that we're trying to build. And then we go through the literature. We go and we search all the different things we can find on the ingredients, compare interactions, and we use the data. That's the best way to do it. If you're creating a scientific product, you should do science. And I am so fortunate that my partner he's graduated with the highest honors. He's done a bunch of research and is published in several papers. So I am now, I can very safely say I've been out of school so long that I'm probably, without my partner's help, I couldn't do it by myself, and all this crypto stuff. But with my partner, I can count and know for sure that a registered pharmacist and researcher is very closely combing through every single detail and making sure that we're using the absolute best ingredients.
Yeah, that was an awesome answer. Again, it's really nice to see the thought process that goes into something with so many variables to it. I'm very excited for your sleep product as well. I've suffered with insomnia in the past, and I'm a huge advocate for anything that can help people get better sleep. I personally believe it's more effective than any nootropic if you can improve your sleep. So a supplement that improves your sleep is nootropic in and of itself.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
I guess what I'd ask next is, you probably are one of the most qualified people to say, what is your nootropic stack? What are your favorite ones to take? It doesn't just have to be BetterBrand ones. Generally, what do you use and why?
I'll be honest. I've tried so many different things, and I end up keeping it pretty simple. Yeah, pretty simple. At the end of the day, I love my product, of course. And my product itself is actually relatively simple, and so I use that probably the most. Sometimes I might pair with a racetym, such as phenylpiracetam, which is a more stimulating racetym, but that's more for just single. I've got a really really intense brain exercise I got to do on Saturday, whatever. I'll add some phenylpiracetam to my stack. You mentioned ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a really, really great one that I actually am a huge fan of. I need to get more regular about taking it because the effects stack over time, and it's incredible. Um, Great anxiolytic, kills anxiety, and just in general, it's good for your body.
Yeah, good for testosterone. And also, there's a lot of research showing it increases neuroplasticity. I'm a huge fan of it. Obviously, not health advice. I'm not qualified to say it, but my anecdotal evidence and experience has been quite positive.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the best. We're trying to work it into our fourth product coming out. Like I've been wanting to do ashwagandha forever. It's great. But yeah, let's see. Outside of that, I mean, taking regular vitamin D is important, especially when we're inside, on our screens all day. I also, oh gosh, I'm just selling my products. I take I take Better Lungs every day, which the name says Better Lungs, and so you think, okay, this is just for people with like lung issues. Which, by the way, it's incredible for this group of people. We've seen. Our Better Lungs community is so strong because these people, they have COPD, they have different lung issues, and they take our product, and it changes their life. They are able to breathe so much better. It's so impactful, and so they're customers for life. It's just this great relationship where they love us, and they keep coming back.
One of my friends, if I may, has cystic fibrosis. Would your better lungs help with that sort of issue?
It could potentially help with so the key thing I mean, there's a lot of great ingredients in there, but the N-acetylcysteine in there helps clear out gunk in the lungs. Now, cystic fibrosis is, a lot. It's a pretty serious issue, and I can't say that my supplement's going to fix it by any means. But he might notice some improvement potentially. It's worth a try. It wouldn't hurt, that's for sure. It sure wouldn't hurt. Yeah. Have him give it a try.
That's really awesome. Yeah, wow, you guys are bringing out a lot of products. What's the grand vision for Better Mind? Where do you see you guys yourselves in, say, 5 years, 10 years, even?
Sure. So, I mean, I want this to become, one of the, worldwide supplement retailers. I think that we can do that. I think that if we deliver really, really solid products, continue to expand, do it all with a really fun, friendly brand that can expand to different markets and stay on top of all the business development, etc. I mean, yeah, it's not something you can just say, yeah, I'm going to build a company that everybody knows about. But that's kind of the idea. I want to create a brand that becomes a household name. I want, I don't, and not that I want to be cocky and be like, haha, yeah, that's my company. But, it'd be pretty cool if I'm walking down the street and someone's like, hey, okay, that's a dumb situation. But, you're sitting in a coffee shop and someone mentions, the name of your company. That's pretty cool. That's something that I would love to, yeah.
I guess we've spent a lot of time now talking about something which has up until now been hugely successful, but I know you've also had your fair share of failures as well.
For sure, yeah. I mean, gosh, yeah. It's. I mean, that's that's life. Let me try to think of any specific failures. Hmm. I mean, 2018 was a pretty big wash for I think a lot of people. I made a lot of bad investments in 2018. Had a lot of uh, let's see. I wouldn't say a lot of missteps. I think it was mostly learning experiences in 2018. I really don't feel bad about um, 2018 at all. But oh man, I feel like I'm in an interview and they're like, "What's your worst trait?" And I can't think of anything. uh,
I know you, particularly the first accelerator you tried to get into.
yes. Oh, so my first the first big thing that I did, in the crypto space was I did do a little bit of consulting work with some people in mid 2018. That, like I said, 2018, it ended up being a learning experience. I learned a lot through this. through this period, but it was very challenging. I joined an accelerator, or it was not an accelerator, sorry, it was a consultancy that, worked with different companies in the blockchain space that they'd been very successful through 2015, 2016, 2017, of course, when the bull market's doing well. And unfortunately, things were a lot tougher in 2018. And so here I was freshly, just I didn't drop my college degree or my doctorate program, but I took a hiatus and took a pretty big, leap. My plan wasn't to just jump into some consultancy job. I was just going to, see what I could do in crypto. And this was one opportunity that came up. I took it, and yeah, it was tough. I brought along a friend as well. He came and joined with me, and we tried our best to make it work. Um, but ultimately, it was a situation where we realized we needed to move on, and so we both did. We moved on, and I started working on BetterBrand, and then all the pieces just kind of fell into place. I wouldn't say it was a step backwards by any means. It was just, a bump along the way. I got a lot of great consulting experience in where I learned what it actually means to be a consultant and how to help clients and that sort of thing.
What does it actually mean to be a consultant?
So, of course, it depends on the industry, but the biggest thing is providing value for your client in ways that, I mean, providing what you need to do as a consultant is help your client either avoid something that's going to set them back, cost them a lot of money, or find different ways to optimize to set them, push them that much farther. Yeah, those are the two biggest things: avoiding pitfalls. Because you have some experience and okay, this is going to lead to that bad issue, and then helping with really really solid, how to level them up, how to elevate them, how to push them forward, and being consistent with how you respond and handle them too. You can't, obviously, if you have a client, you have to put them very high priority and make sure that you do everything you can to help their goals within reason. That's another thing too, is that you can't promise too much to people and give them too much of your time and attention, or else they'll take it all. And yeah, there's a lot of people in the world.
Right. So the main ways to value add, as you've described, are through adding value or helping stop those pitfalls. Now, that must have been influenced by your experience in 2018. Also, I know you have a lot of experience with BetterBrand as well. How have you managed to translate that into your current project and how you currently run your accelerator, incubator, or whatever label you like to put on it?
For sure. Well, I guess let me give a little bit more background on how the whole accelerator incubator thing is set up. I think I don't really talk about it too much on Twitter. It's something that I do spend a lot of time working on, and it's something fun and exciting that I don't think most people realize is something I'm working on. So I started it as a joint kind of thing with this startup studio, and they are mostly focused on traditional industries, and they brought so much traditional kind of experience and knowledge about startups to me that really helped me. But I realized, look, we got to be crypto focused with this side. We've got to bring in more crypto people. We have to make sure we deliver a lot of crypto specific value. And so at first we didn't know exactly what that should look like. We knew that we had network. We knew that we had really smart business builders. We had great, graphics design, content. We had amazing writers. All this, we had all this creative talent at this studio. So we sat down about a year and a half ago and said, how do we make the most advantage of this space? With what we have, how do we tackle this? And so this is may sound silly, but at the time, this is early 2019. My first thought was, look, all the big stuff is popping over in crypto Asia right now. We've got the West locked down. I know a lot about Western crypto industry, what's happening, the people in it. But there's this big blind spot over in Asia. And I think there's a lot of value in getting over there. So one of the first things we set out to do was do just that, and we did. So I ended up traveling for about 9 months. I was traveling for about 9 months, where basically every 2 weeks I'd be in a different city. I went all over from Seoul, Shanghai, Singapore, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, all those fun different Osaka. I guess Osaka was more of a fun trip, but I did some business there as well. But yeah, so along the way, we met so many more people, developed more and more of an idea of how we can be the most valuable in this space. And I realized, gosh, I probably should spend more and more time in Asia because there's so much value in connecting these two worlds. There's so much going on in specifically in China, Chinese crypto, that's just completely disconnected because we don't have real much access to WeChat. No one really speaks Mandarin, and most of them don't speak English, and there's a massive firewall. So there's huge information asymmetry to take
Yes.
advantage of. Yes, asymmetry. There we go. I feel like cred is in the back of my head, being like, "Come on, dog, you know this one." But yeah, so I ended up meeting some amazing people both in Hong Kong and Shanghai that they were working on helping projects in China already, and they had this amazing idea that, like, look, why don't we help Western projects, help piggyback their project through China and help them get acquainted and get set up here, because it's messy. It's really, really messy getting into China, and so. The funny thing is that I kind of had a similar idea too. I was like, well, I'm learning more about China crypto. I'm getting these different resources. I would love to be able to help clients and different companies get in. And it's just funny that I heard this idea from my friend and realized, well, that's the exact same idea I already had. Let's do this together. Come on. So we joined forces. We expanded our company. So just to give I guess a better idea of the structure, we have the startup studio that builds companies in emerging industries. They helped build my BetterBrand with me. We formed a new entity here in Hong Kong, and we brought on partners here in Hong Kong and Shanghai as well. And essentially we're helping crypto projects with all kinds of different things, and a big part of that is helping them get into China, helping them get Chinese exposure. And wow, I just realized I've been shilling. I don't know. I like the word shill. I don't see it as a negative context, but pushing my shilling my work without directly answering the question. How do we provide the value, and how do we make sure that we avoid pitfalls? I guess in China, that's half the job, is avoiding pitfalls. It's such a messy, hard to navigate industry, where you can be taken advantage of very easily if you don't know what you're doing. And so that's honestly one of the biggest value adds we do, is we make sure that our friends and our clients don't get screwed in Asia and China. And then, ensuring we add value, I guess. I guess it's not something that I'm worried too much about. We find different ways to make it happen. We make sure we connect them with the right people that save them money, that push them further, that deliver better outcomes. I think that's key.
I mean, you do not need to apologize for these long talks. There is so much awesome information which can be taken away from it. Just hearing about your process, how you've managed to set these successful ventures up, is hugely beneficial to me, if not anyone else. So I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with that. And yeah, I guess another key thing you mentioned, not specifically but indirectly, is a big value add you do for your clients is give them access to your network, which just comes back to how important networking is. Also, wow, you built all this while just traveling to all over Asia?
So that's the thing, is my team is friggin' amazing. I love all the people that they carry me. I could not do what I'm doing without the most amazing people by my side. It would just simply be impossible. I'm surrounded by extremely smart, hardworking people that are also very kind and loving, and so yeah, I couldn't do it by myself. That's for sure.
How do you build that lifestyle where you can operate on such a high level, do so many things at once, yet still have the luxury of being able to travel and work from a laptop?
Again, it's kind of the same thing. It comes down so much to having people that you can rely on, people that you can depend on, with the same goals, as yourself. Everyone, basically all my friends, all my really really close friends, were also business partners, and so we're all providing emotional support to each other. We're also providing business support, and pushing each other and making sure that we all do a really really good job. Because we all want the same thing. We want to make money together and travel the world and build impactful businesses. I'm so sorry, I forgot the question. Did I answer the question?
Oh, it was to do with how you're able to build this lifestyle where you can travel around. And you did answer. You said you have an amazing team around you.
Right. That's just key. I simply couldn't do it without being able to count on other people. You have to find um, smart, strong, loyal people that you can count on. I think that's so key in life.
How do you find that?
Gosh, I I feel like I mean, for me, there isn't a magic bullet. There's no secret to finding awesome people. It's just kind of happened. Yeah, that's the worst answer. I hate that. I'm sorry, but no, for me, I think a lot of it was chance occurrences. This was luck here, luck there, but leaving yourself open. To making those connections, being passionate about things, being excited about what you're doing and what you're working on is so infectious. And if there's an awesome person that notices, hey, that notices your energy, they want to be a part of it. They're going to be attracted to that energy and that excitement. And so yeah, so I mean, project the kind of energy that you want to come back to you, and you'll have really awesome people that are like, whoa, this guy loves what he's doing. He's working on cool stuff. I want to be a part of that. Yeah.
That's a great answer, which is very much what's happened to me or is happening to me right now. I have the goal of slowly getting more towards the direction of what you've built. And that's why this podcast is so amazing for me as an episode, because you have accomplished so much of what I am trying to accomplish and hope to accomplish. It's very interesting to hear your thoughts and attitudes and approaches, and reassuring whenever I see similarities, particularly with the way I'm trying to surround myself with the right people is putting out the right energy, the right message, keeping true to my goals and having a clear message so the people that come to me know exactly what I'm about. Like my motto is building richer lives. First, build richer lives for other people, and then you'll inevitably build a richer life for yourself.
Yep, it all comes back. It's amazing. One thing that just reminded me of in crypto, the absolute most valuable thing that I've been able to do is literally just be kind and do favors for other people without asking. If I ever notice there's something that I can do for someone, and it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg, I just try and go for it and do it. And I've been doing that for I guess three plus years now, and it just starts to come back. You do something nice for someone in 2017 or 2018, and they remember it in 2020. It's really really cool. I didn't realize I was doing this when I was doing it. I just try. I guess I have the personality where I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I like to make people happy. It makes me happy to make people happy. And now it's starting to come back in a very positive way, across finances and all these different things. So yeah, my biggest piece of advice to be successful, especially in crypto, is be kind, be helpful. Even if there's not a direct way where you can see, like, I'm going to make this much from helping this person here, or yeah, if there's not a direct, you know, something that comes back for you, that's okay. Even if there never is, that's okay. Just putting good out into the world, it from my experience, it tends to come back.
Yeah, I mean, to expand on it as well, when you're constantly giving more value than you take, you're building something really sustainable and long term. And that mentality and attitude feeds in really nicely to that kindness. Being kind and nice and doing favors is the most selfish thing you can do. Even if you are a selfish, malicious person, the way you benefit the most is by being kind and genuine, which is quite hilarious.
It really is, yeah, for sure.
I guess where I'd go next now is, where does trading come into all of this? How on earth do you find time to trade alongside all of this?
For sure. Oh my gosh, that's again, so much of it comes down to having the team, but also that's a big issue where right now, I'm actively looking for someone else to help to help deal with all this because there's too many opportunities. I don't have enough time to take advantage of every opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, a big part of my job, one of my full-time jobs is the Twitter account, and you can't run a successful Twitter account with actually being in it, a crypto Twitter account. You have to actually know what's going on. You have to actually be trading in these, in all this craziness to be able to accurately commentate and talk about it. Otherwise, it just feels fake. It's not, if you're not in the trenches, then it doesn't feel right. You don't really know what's going on. And so a big part of my job is being aware of and constantly up to date with everything on crypto. And so I set aside time for Twitter. I set aside time where, I'm every single day I'm going to spend this many hours with the charts, with Twitter, with Discord, with Telegram, all up. Where my goal is to, yes, I have some objectives that I'm all knocking out, but at the same time I'm also constantly scanning for new opportunities, being aware of what's happening in the space. Where it's not a hard thing where it's like, my job today is to know what's happening, but kind of is, especially when things are happening so fast. We have yams, we got sushi swap, we have all this, craziness that happens so quickly. You have to spend so much time keeping up with it all. And so I literally I section off time for all this. It ends up taking a big part of my day, and that's again why I'm so thankful and reliant on having a super strong, solid team to help me, take care of everything else as well. Because otherwise I couldn't do it. There's no way.
How many members are in your team right now?
So the thing is, we have several companies. There's the parent accelerator. There is the nootropics. It's technically a health and wellness company. Nootropics product is just one of our products, and then there's the specifically the crypto focused part of the studio, which is its own separate entity. And so on the crypto focused side, we've got seven of us between Hong Kong and Shanghai. And then on the studio side, we're totally decentralized. It's really cool. Our team lives all over the world now because we realize, with COVID, we don't need to pay for rent and everyone can work, remotely just great. So, gosh, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So at the studio side, let me think. 1, 2, 3, like 4 or 5, if I'm not 6, if I'm not missing anyone.
I think you said seven was
So
the.
that's the crypto focus side. This is the
Oh
more
wow! So
traditional.
there's the studio, there's the better, and there's wow.
Well, there's three. There's three. So BetterBrand is a startup under the accelerator, and then the crypto focus side is also technically under the accelerator. It's yeah. So there's a big parent company that I'm partner at, and that you know we we help early stage startups, and then two of the early stage startups are my startups, BetterBrand, and then our crypto focus side. And we realized the thing is, like, it made more sense to create a separate entity just for working on crypto focused stuff, rather than keep that in the main big parent company. Just like with legal and taxes and all these different things, it made so much more sense to set it up separately, and then also just to expand as we're bringing on new members. We hired on a bunch of people that have nothing to do with all of our other startups and are just purely crypto focused. And so, yeah, it made the most sense structurally and organizationally, and also from a brand perspective as well, to do it as separate companies.
Man, I'm fanboying so hard right now. You're just doing so much, and it's so incredible, and it's so motivating, and honestly privileged. I can sit here and learn from you. How has 2020 trading treated you, especially with this team and infrastructure behind you?
Well, it's not going bad. I mean, it's 2020. It's a really good year, I think. I was pretty fortunate in that was early on the DeFi hype train. I got into DeFi probably. I mean, the first time when my eyes were opened was the end of January, early February. I was in Istanbul, meeting with this guy. I met him right then. He DM'd me on Twitter and was like, "Hey, man, I saw you're in I saw you're in Turkey. Want to meet up? I'll be here at this time." Which sounds super sketch, but I did a little bit of vetting. I was like, okay, cool. So it turned out to be this really, really, really smart guy building building a Turkish stablecoin called the Bilira. Amazing guy. We connected really, really well. And he's super into DeFi, and he started showing me all the different things I could do. Going through all these different apps and showing me how he's using his money with DeFi. And that I realized, oh crap, we're in for something really special, really exciting with this. And I couldn't believe that no one was talking about it really. You go back to February, March, very few people outside of like the Ethereum developer community, the traders, no one was really talking about DeFi, not much. It was kind of like just something in the background that, maybe you'd hear once every now and then. And so I took that very seriously. I spent a lot of time trying to connect with people in the DeFi space because I saw this was going to be massive. So I got on a bunch of calls. I started talking to people that I thought were smart to learn more and getting closer to projects. And that helped so much. I think I've said this before on Twitter where, 2020 is so much better than 2017 in that the fundamentals, and I think this is what we were talking about earlier too, is the fundamentals really matter. If you understand that something is bullish for a fundamental reason, it makes guiding the trades on the chart that much easier. Well, also you're looking at the right charts too.
Some would say few understand.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. Normally, you see something go straight up for a whole month, you think, well, maybe I shouldn't buy it now. But when you understand the fundamentals behind some of these projects like YFI, and you look at what they're actually developing, and what the DeFi space is actually doing, you realize, oh, wow, this is very valuable, and Litecoin has a massive market cap that doesn't make any sense. Maybe I can make some money here. So, yeah, yes, 100%. That's I think in crypto, I'm not a super genius. I don't know the most things. I'm not the smartest person ever, but one thing that I do really well is listen. I try to identify the absolute smartest people in the space, and I listen to them. I cross-check with the other smart people that I know in the space, and that's how I learn. I think we have this incredible opportunity where you can actually reach the smartest friggin' people in this space through Twitter. Not just me as the Cryptodog. You can legit, engage in very thoughtful discourse with these people, just commenting on Twitter. Not every single person, but yeah, wow. We're early, and there's just so much opportunity for anybody. It's so cool. So yeah, so getting a lot of fundamental information has been super, super helpful. And going with, long focus strategy has also been helpful. But at the end of the day, I'm honestly in a position where I'm actively looking for someone else to partner and help me grow this out, because we started our company with $0. It was purely just that is the crypto focused arm. The whole idea was like, let's test this out, see if this works, start helping a few clients. And we started doing that. And the money started coming in from these cash retainers, which we have then been putting into the markets and investing and trading, et cetera, which is expanding, growing into a smaller fund that we're using to write a few small checks. And then also, well, just continue to manage the funds upwards. But I need to find someone else to help me with it. Because as you can tell, I've got 3 full-time jobs. I've got my own money, and there's so much opportunity just sitting on the ground. Most people I think are doing pretty well right now, but I think most people can also say that they could probably be doing better, unless they're friggin' 3 Arrows Capital or something. I'm sure they're doing okay.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. In fact, me and Scott were talking about this the other day. Scott Melker, I'm sure you're aware of him, lovely guy. It gets to the point where, as one person, we only have so many hours in the day. There's only so much we can do, and even more so, there's only so much we can do productively. So the game just changes into leveraging our time and spending money to get more time, and then our time gets filled with other stuff, and then we leverage again to get more time, and then fill that time with other stuff, and you just keep scaling that up. That's
it. Oh man, that you just described my life.
Well, incredible. We're coming to the end of this podcast, and a question I love to finish with, especially with people who do have a trading background and involvement in trading. It's up to you which one you'd like to answer. You can either tell us about the trade you are absolutely most proud of. This doesn't have to be the one that has made you the most money. It could be one that has sentimental value or particularly high satisfaction. Or you can tell us about the one you're absolutely least proud of. This could be funny, this could be tragic, whichever you'd like to share.
Oh man. Gosh. Well, I guess I'll do both real quick. Neither of them are super long stories. I think the one that I'm most proud of, at least in recent memory, has been going mega long Ethereum this year, around $230. It just felt so good because I had so much conviction where I felt so strongly about it, and I acted on it in a way that, like, I dug in. I knew that this is so, I was so sure of it, and I really put my money where my mouth was. And I was very loud on Twitter as well. I was always screaming about Ethereum's gonna friggin' moon, and it sure did. So that made me feel very great. That was awesome. Awesome for the Twitter clout, and also the bank account. It's always, not that I use a bank, but that's always fun. And then probably my worst trade, gosh. Man, I longed the absolute top of Doge BTC on Poloniex. Like, literally the absolute top. You go to 2017, you go to the chart, like, look at the top wick. That's me. Like, I'm actually the worst Doge buyer. Doge ended up being, raising to a higher USD value later on, but I bought it on margin versus Bitcoin. So that is my most underwater trade. I lost a good bit of Bitcoin back when Bitcoin wasn't worth that much.
Ironic that the dog's worst trade was on the coin that represents a dog.
I figured it can't let me down, right? It can't. Actually, I don't know if I don't know if I had created the crypto dog at that point in time yet. I may not have.
Maybe it was some hidden trauma that said, I'll make the dog something positive now.
I think so. It might have been.
Thank you for sharing those two great stories and literally dropping gold for us for an entire hour. Anyone who listens through this entire thing can pick apart and learn so much from what you've shared. And I know a lot of the listeners have similar goals to what you have. I guess before we end, is there anything you'd like to share with our audience? Any note you'd like to leave this on?
Gosh, I guess I'm just really appreciative. I'm just really thankful to be in a position where, awesome guys like Karosh want to bring me onto their podcast, and that people actually want to listen to me. That feels so weird. But I appreciate it. Thanks. I want to say thanks to everyone listening, and thanks to all my followers that been sticking around all these years. It's really awesome to have. I don't know, to have people that I don't know. This whole thing is so cool. It's just really so cool, and I'm very thankful.
It really is incredible. I love the gratitude. I love the humility despite your success. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope this podcast continues. In a year or two, I can get you back on and we can talk about what you've built since.
Oh, that'd be fun. Thanks so much, Karosh.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Market Meditation. If you enjoyed yourselves and you learned something here today, do consider subscribing to our newsletter to receive news, analysis, and education directly to your inbox 3 times a week.